What's up, everybody? So today, I'm kind of starting something new. I'm going to try to do a little bit of a series, I guess you can call it, on Job, and just kind of highlight and hit the main points of it. I'm just using my Bible, like my normal Bible, and then I also have this ESV study Bible, which I think is very helpful. It points out a lot of different points that you wouldn't always just get from just reading over it. Really helpful. But yeah, so first we start off in Job 1, just a prologue. It says, "In the land of Uz, where lived a man whose name was Job." And this is right outside of Israel. Not right outside, but a little bit. "This man was blameless and upright, feared God and shunned evil." So this was obviously, like it says, God-fearing man. Shunned evil, put it out. He had a lot of land, a lot of family, a lot of sons, daughters, cattle, camels, sheep, everything. He was doing really good, very successful guy in the land. And here it says in verse 6, "One day the angels came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came with them." Satan also came with them. "The Lord said to Satan, 'Where have you come from?' Satan answered the Lord, 'From roaming throughout the earth, going back and forth.' Then the Lord said to Satan, 'Have you considered my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him, blameless and upright, a man who fears God and shuns evil.' Satan then says, 'Does Job fear God for nothing? Have you not put a hedge around him and his household and everything he has? You have blessed the work of his hands, so that his flocks and herds are spread throughout the land. But now stretch out your hand and strike everything he has. He will surely curse you to the face.' Then the Lord said to Satan, 'Very well, then everything he has is in your power, but on the man himself do not lay a finger.'" So this is one good thing that the ESV Study Bible pointed out. In verse 12, which is, "Very well, then everything he has is in your power, but not a finger you shall lay on the man." The fact that Satan has to ask permission to test Job indicates the extent of his authority falls ultimately under the sovereign governance of God, something that Job also refers to, but without knowledge or reference to the heavenly dialogue in its relation to his troubles. So, it kind of gives it to you right there. The Lord is giving Satan permission. He's below him. The Lord is above Satan. And then Satan went out from the presence of the Lord. One day, Job's sons and daughters were feasting and drinking wine at the oldest brother's house. A messenger came to Job and said, "The oxen were plowing and the dachshunds were grazing nearby, and the Sabeans attacked and made off with them. They put the servants to the sword, and I am the only one who has escaped to tell you." While he was still speaking, another messenger came and said, "The fire of God fell from the heavens and burned up the sheep and the servants, and I am the only one who has escaped to tell you." While he was still speaking, another messenger came and said, "The Chaldeans formed 3 raiding parties and swept down on the camels and made off with them. I am the only one who escaped to tell you." And while he was still speaking, "Your sons and daughters were feasting and drinking wine at the oldest brother's house, when suddenly a mighty wind swept in from the desert and struck the 4 corners of the house. It collapsed on them, and they were dead. I'm the only one who's escaped to tell you." Job got up, tore his robe, shaved his head, and then fell to the ground in worship. And he said, "Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will depart. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised." And this is the last verse, the most powerful verse, in my opinion. In all this, Job did not sin by charging God with his wrongdoing. Job doesn't know that this is the acts of Satan. He's just like, okay, this just happened. Like, the Lord gave me all these blessings. He can take them away as he wants. The Lord put me in my mother's womb. He can take me out of this world if he wants. So instead of blaming God for all of this going on, he just says, like it said before, it's the Lord's plan. And that's something that, like, we have to take into account too, is that the Lord gives us all these blessings, but just as fast as he gives us, he can take them away. And, like, obviously Job goes through a lot of trials, and he continues to throughout the rest of this book, which I'll go over. But I want to skip to I want to go into chapter 2, and he says, on another day the angels came to present themselves before the Lord. Satan also came with them to present himself before him. The Lord said to Satan, where have you come from? From roaming throughout the earth, going back and forth on it. The Lord said to Satan, have you considered my servant Job? There's no one like him, blameless, an upright man who fears God and shuns evil. He still maintains his integrity, though you indicted me against him, to ruin him without any reason. Skin for skin, Satan replied. A man will give all he has for his own life. But now stretch out your hands and strike his flesh and bones, and he will surely curse you to the face. The Lord said to Satan, very well then, he's in your hands once again. You must spare his life. So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord and afflicted Job with painful sores on the soles of his feet to the crown of his head. Job took a piece of his broken pottery and scraped himself with it as he sat among the ashes. His wife said to him, are you still maintaining your integrity? Curse God and die. He replied, you are talking like a foolish woman. Shall we accept good from God and not trouble? In all this, Job did not sin in what he said. Later on, Job's friends come and see him, and, they know that he's going through a lot, and they could barely recognize him when they saw him, because he shaved his head, tore his robe, and they knew he was going through it. Verse 13, verse 12, when they saw him from a distance, they could hardly recognize him. They began to weep aloud, and they tore their robes and sprinkled dust on their head. They sat on the ground with him for 7 days, 7 nights. No one said a word to him, because they saw how great his suffering was. I think that's something we all strive for, and something I'm thankful to have found in my life is just people that'll be there for me, and just and I saw this thing with Theo Vaughn, and a lot of people think of him as like just a funny country dude with a crazy mind, but I saw this thing of him and the UFC fighter, I can't remember his name at the top of my head, but he was talking about, the UFC fighter was talking about his past, and he started crying. As big and strong of a man as he is, he started crying. And this reminds me of Job, because Job had everything, and this guy, you think he has it all, but his past is just so traumatizing. But Theo Vaughn just said, hey, I'll just sit here and talk with you, or I'll just sit here in silence with you if you need it. I'm here for you. And that's what these guys did for Job. I love that. This is a long one. Thank you guys for listening. But I do want to keep going through this and sharing this with y'all. So thank you.